Hey, time for another out of this world story from our space. Me, 28 male, with my wife, 27 female, duration of 9 years. She cheated on me when I was out of town. Background: been together for 9 years, started dating before college and were exclusive throughout. After college, I moved home while she finished up schooling. At the end of her last semester, she broke up with me because there was another guy that was giving her attention. 2 months later, she came back begging for forgiveness and promised nothing had transpired. 6 months later, we were living in an apartment together. About a year after that, we were married. We moved into a house less than a year after getting married, thanks to the money I got from my grandmother's passing. 4 months ago, she lost her job and has not gotten another one, as far as I know. After college and through her joblessness, I have been the breadwinner. I was lucky enough to have a job good enough to pay for most of all of our expenses, including her student loans and new car. Current: I went out of state a couple of Thursdays ago for a project the company was involved in. I wasn't scheduled to be back till the next Thursday. Wednesday, I got told I could go home early. I called and told my wife I would be coming home, but I could tell that she wasn't herself and didn't seem happy to hear the news. She said she hadn't been sleeping well. I got home and she didn't seem tired. We relaxed for a few hours and then went to bed, where she insisted or stated that she wanted to have sex. Having been away for almost a week, I was in a giving mood and please her before moving on with the deed. She didn't seem that into things and her kisses were all closed-mouthed. Following day, I went to work. Nothing unusual. She arrived home after me and went straight to the shower, having come from the gym class. She doesn't smoke, so when I asked why there were cigarettes in her purse, it seemed to have started a conversation she was avoiding. She told me she wasn't happy and had been for a while. Stated that she thought we wanted different things. Mentioned that she hadn't missed me while I was away. Through it all, I was mostly silent and fuming, angry, incapable of putting to words the betrayal that I was feeling. She ended up leaving in tears, and I subsequently broke down. I called my friends and ended up riding to their apartment for a few hours. After returning home around 11:30, I was angry and hurt and started searching the house out of suspicion. She had left the rings on the dresser. I started looking through her computer. There, I found 2 Facebook messages, the log of probably 80% of what had been said between her and the guy she slept with over the previous 5 days. She stated that things were bearable while she was working, but that her time out of work was the worst in her life. She felt like she wasn't getting to do the things she wanted to do and felt like she was concerned and angry with the decisions that got her here. There was also a number of messages where she insisted that they should get together. Come to find out, she had spent the entirety of Wednesday evening messaging the guy and even invited him to my home for dinner. The messaging continued to the early morning and only stopped when she went to his apartment at close to 3 a.m. She didn't arrive home until after 6 p.m. Wednesday, 2 hours before I got home from the trip. They had unprotected sex and then insisted that we have sex the night I got home. A time frame of about 18 hours. I also found out, through these messages, that she went to his apartment when she left the house Thursday night. I saved the entire Facebook conversation to PDF, which ended up being close to 70 pages of messages exchanged in 5 days, stored in multiple places. She came home after 1 a.m. Thursday night, Friday morning. I told her that I knew. She tried to tell me that she didn't intend for things to happen, which was a lie based on the transcript. Much angry silence followed, and she ended up staying in the guest bedroom. Friday morning, I broke the news to my parents. I suggested to her that she move out because I wasn't interested in forgiving her. She left for a few days, but has since returned to the guest room. Her family found out through my parents and are devastated. Her father and I are actually still on good, though awkward, terms despite all this. I have gotten in touch with a lawyer. I've also gotten tested for STDs and HIV. Results haven't returned yet. I have moved the money that I can out of joint accounts and got my own. I have been working on getting my things in order to live without her, once the agreement is finished and she gets out. Once the agreement is finalized, I will have to wait a full year before the divorce is final. I haven't really spoken a word to her in the weeks since things fell apart, but we are sitting down to discuss it in person today. I am sure that I missed some details, but this is the gist of it. Really, the only thing that I don't know or have plans for is where do I go from here? I know that I am still fairly young, but I was never really one to go out and meet new people, and I have literally no clue what I'm doing when it comes to dating as an adult. Edit. For clarity, she does not take birth control. We've used condoms since we started dating, and one was used the night I returned, so the chance for her pregnancy ploy is slim to none. Also, as some of you have pointed out, this ended up not being the first time she cheated. I found out through the transcript that she had sex with some other guy from work 4 years ago, after the breakup and reconciliation, but before we moved in together. Alright, a couple quick comments, then we're moving on to another story. Shadowban Hans says, "You handled it like a boss, son. Rely on your friends and family. Take it day by day. The rest will come in time. Internet dating is all the rage with the kids these days. I'd suggest waiting a few more months before dipping your toes into that water." Lizzie6692 said, "I may be reading too much into things, but is your wife on birth control? My first thought when I read the part about having unprotected sex with him, then you, was worried about a pregnancy and wanted to make sure she could convince you it was yours. If she does end up pregnant, make sure you get a paternity test." Mission Success says, "I'm sorry I had to go through this, but you handled it very well. I suggest picking up a new hobby or two to fill your time and meet new friends. Something recreational, like joining a running club, will make you feel great, endorphin release, and get you in better shape if you're not already." All right, moving on to the next story. Wife cheated on me before we were even married with our friend, her coworker, and I finally left. Me, 33 male, and my soon-to-be ex-wife, 31 female, started cheating on me with her coworker in the summer of 2017. We were married November 2017. Together for 11 years altogether. Trying to keep this short, but it's 3.5 years of BS, so let me run through this. It's a lot. Here's the disaster of events. Soon-to-be ex-wife starts to cheat with her coworker in summer of 2017, invites him to our wedding in winter of 2017, but can't last minute because of work. She invites him into our social life, for immediate family knows affair partner and affair partner's wife. Soon-to-be ex-wife tried to make him my friend and have us hang out. Has sex at work after hours, in the back of his truck, in the car I'm left with, in our apartment, our couch, our bed, using the GPS she had on me to know where I'm at. And God knows where else. Took a Plan B pill at least once. She insisted I go to his bachelor party, and I did. He got a BJ from one of the strippers. She befriends affair partner's wife, and we're best friends at one point. The affair partner's wife makes soon-to-be ex-wife her maid of honor. This brings us to summer of 2020. Affair partner's wife gets pregnant in June of 2020. That same month, me and soon-to-be ex-wife purchase a home. Soon-to-be ex-wife says to cut costs, affair partner, an amateur handyman, can help us in the work we want on it. She asks if it's okay if they go alone to get a head start. At this point, I know him, and more importantly, I trust him. I've known him for 3.5 years. He's my friend. I said okay, but still felt uneasy about it. They ended up having sex in every room in our new home. Before I even could really call it home, she had sex in it. It's ruined forever. We've been trying to get pregnant for a year. One night, about to have sex, soon-to-be ex-wife says something to the effect of, "Let me get mine before you get yours," but stops short of her thought, but I got the drift. But there's a problem. I don't have that problem. I'm not bragging, but I say perfectly capable of performing, after I get there, for 11 straight years with her. She gets 3 to my 1 for 11 years. I can give her more if we're really into it. Some men can't go on after the first, but that's not me. I let it go, but it stuck with me. That was my first thought waking up. Something snapped, and I went crazy X mode. She left for work, and I rushed to her laptop, trying to get into her text messages. Don't have access. Then search all her social media. There's access to one. Search through every message from a guy, and there it is. Words that will forever be burned in my head. Multiple quickies. I miss you. Heart emoji. I like your arms. They can carry me, babe. I sent her a screenshot of what I found. I was in shock. Then I had my first panic attack. I called my brother and told him. She called me after and I went off on her, then hung up. She denies it was physical, just flirting the whole time. After I walked our dogs, I was surprised to see soon-to-be ex-wife in total shame standing there. 30 minutes before, she showed AP the screenshot and said his face went white, and then she drove home because she thought I was leaving her. Then I demanded answers. She confessed to having sex with him for 3.5 years. I asked if she did him sexual favors. She said yeah. Dumb question, I know, but I lost it there. After I calmed down, I sat in a chair in shock. She came over and cried, apologizing, begging to forgive her, and hugged me. Once I hugged her, it all came out. That devastating, unbearable, torturous, and never-ending heartache I still feel today. It consumed me. I told her she broke me. I'm broken. I cried my eyes out. Ugly, filthy cry. I barely ate for a week. I was too traumatized to think about leaving. I just found out my entire marriage and some change was a lie. My identity was stolen and turned my world upside down. I was too consumed in trying to make sense of things while traumatized. We decided on trying to reconcile with therapy, couples and individual. I lasted 2 months, then I needed space. I left to my parents. I thought this was it. It's over. I could barely leave, but I was so proud I was going to post this on Reddit to show you guys that I did it. But being away from her felt like ripping off an emotional limb. It felt self-inflicted. I lasted 3 weeks and came back. I missed her so dang much. That's when I found out if I decide to really leave, it was going to be horrendous. But I'm going to try and reconcile. We also paused starting a family. Would be crazy to start if we didn't know about her future. But she has a hard time waiting, yet understands what I need to go through in healing, but doesn't know how long she can bear not having kids. The patience required from her is wearing her down, but I get it. There's ultimately a deadline. I told her what I needed from her to feel safe. She or he needed to find another job. She barely tried in the beginning, so I sent a message to a affair partner, knowing he hadn't told his wife, and if he wants to keep it that way, he needs to leave. Instead, a affair partner tells his pregnant wife. Instead of hearing back from him, I get a call from his father-in-law asking me to back off. What? Father-in-law, supposedly, barely works, so probably saw his paycheck flying away since they all live in the same house and plan to move into another one. Father-in-law ends up passing the phone to affair partner. Same voice I heard from soon-to-be ex-wife. Shame and guilt overbearing affair partner. I go off on him and hang up. So there it is. She wasn't leaving and he wasn't either. She didn't want to leave in case I leave. Then what was the point in leaving her job in her mind? It's also tied to her family's business. She feels a strong social obligation to keep it. Red flag. We try to continue reconciliation, but every day I thought about it multiple times a day. Daily trauma. Nothing was the same. Holidays, mornings, nights, kisses, sex, simple interactions. I'm haunted by our home because of the triggers. My mind unravels almost every interaction between them and us, and it's like a mini D-Day every single day. But we continue. Fast forward to last week, and we're at a stalemate. She doesn't feel like I want to continue this, but my PTSD is so intense I can barely keep myself together. Still, 7 months later, she leaves to her sisters unrelated to us, and we go back and forth on texts. We would check in every 3 months on how I was feeling. More importantly, if I wanted to start a family. I know I couldn't do it. How can I be there for them when I'm struggling on just meat? We would both be miserable with a baby on the way. I don't deserve that. I would also be haunted in not having the trust that it's even mine. That was part of the reason to leave. Again, she says she can't wait a year, but just hopes I'm ready before. So having that in my mind, that it's 4 months left for the D-Day anniversary, and it hasn't changed exponentially in almost 8 months, and the ongoing trauma, I decided to leave. Every day was stay or leave, and it was eating at me, like crows picking out your eyes. It was, and still is, horrible. So I'm here at a friend's place, tortured every day in a different way since I left. Every bone in my body says to go back, but when I'm there, I'm miserable. I'm away from her now, and I'm also still miserable. But what's going to change if I go back? Maybe I can change and move past this, but it's going to be more than a year. I can feel it. I don't want to say it out loud, but I need this. It's for me, for my peace, but it's not coming fast enough. I just want the pain to stop, but I know it'll take time. I know talking to friends and family helps, and I'm trying to find the new me and find hobbies. Being alone with my thoughts is the worst for me, so I have to stay busy. I didn't think I could be here. I didn't think I could write this, but like so many others, the advice and vulnerable and painful moments you all share helped me be here. I want and need to continue therapy. It really helps. Thank you all. Any advice welcome. Well, there's no advice from the community. I'll bet you guys have something to say, so let us know down in the comments. Until next time.